Were you expecting a Day Zero patch for Unicorn Overlord? Because I wasn't expecting a Day Zero patch for Unicorn Overlord yet. Here we are. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel.
Unicorn Overlord.
Hello everyone. As I always say, if you enjoy what I do, my coverage of Unicorn Overlord, strategy RPGs, or the gaming sphere in general, a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So yeah, interesting news today. I woke up to find that apparently the internet was abuzz with information about a patch that is being applied to Unicorn Overlord, technically on day one, although it is already active for the game as of this moment on the 6th of March, that has some interesting nerfs as well as buffs as well as a whole new difficulty mode, as it turns out. We're going to talk about all the different changes here. It's not a huge list, but there's plenty to talk about with it, as well as actually a little bit of leaked information that we're hearing about as well. Now, before I get into any detail about that, before you click away, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I don't normally cover leaks and pre-release spoilers other than officially revealed information on this channel. I don't like leaks. I don't like when things get leaked. I don't like when things are spoiled for either the developers or the people who want to play the game. I'm not a fan of any of that. Normally, I would never talk about this in a video like this. However, this one particular leaked bit of information is relevant because it's something that we've talked about a few times here in our discussion of Unicorn Overlord leading up to its release, and it is a mechanical thing, not a story spoiler thing, technically. So, I think it's worth talking about here, because it will certainly make for an interesting discussion, and I'm rather excited about it. Also, unfortunately, I was spoiled for it already because people decided to start dropping it in the comments of my videos, even though it's not officially released information, it is technically a spoiler. Please don't do that. I want to find these things out as the developers intend for us to find them out, whether we discover it through playing the game ourselves or through pre-release footage or other materials that they put out. Just wanted to put that out there, please. As now there is leaked information out there, people are getting early access to the game because of shops giving it away earlier, early deliveries. Let's wait for March 8th to start talking about stuff other than this, shall we? Okay, cool. So timestamp will be on the video when I'm beginning to speak about this leaked stuff. If you don't want to hear about any of it, you can close the video then. I will also give you a verbal warning. First off, those patch notes. You can see them all here, and I've got it linked in the description as well if you'd like to peruse it for yourself. First and foremost, this is the patch that enables save data from the demo to be carried over to the main game. Great, cool. Standard functionality. That makes sense. They would only add it in once the game is already in people's hands. They've apparently added artwork to the status screen of some characters. Not entirely sure what that means. I don't know if there was some sort of bug where like certain characters or classes didn't have art, which would be weird to be an issue this close to release, but whatever, we'll see what that means once we get our hands on the game. And most notably, a new game difficulty level of normal has been added. And apparently, each difficulty level has been quote-unquote adjusted to make it easier to play. What exactly does that mean? Well, Atlas's site does have a little bit more elaboration here. So, the difficulty level of casual, or story, found in the demo version is apparently equivalent to the difficulty level of normal in the main game. The main game's story difficulty is an even easier difficulty level. If you want a bigger challenge and provided by story, please change to the newly established normal. So, my third run of the game that I did in the demo, I went through on story mode, on casual mode, however you want to think of it, because I wanted to see just what a difference there would be between that and the 2 expert runs that I had done previously, as well as because it would let me get through all of the demo's content, the majority of which I had already seen, to get all the characters and the items that I wanted, to be able to do experimentation with different squads, unit loadouts, etc., etc. Turned it back up to expert by the time I was done, did the final mission, all that type of stuff, just playing with things. And it was very easy. Like, yeah, I know I'm pretty good at these games, but, like, deploy a bunch of units and have them all just go to the enemy HQ and win, kind of easy. Occasionally, maybe deploy another squad to, like, prevent something from trying to take your base, kind of easy. Like, destroy one enemy unit and get, like, a full Valor point, kind of easy. It was real easy. Like, really, really easy. So, I can only imagine what an even easier mode would be like. Like, it seemed like it perfectly encompassed the idea of a story mode where you just want to see the story and, like, play with the character interactions or whatever. That's fine. I just can't imagine how they make that even easier. That just kind of boggles the mind, actually. Like, I imagine, I guess, you'll just be able to one-shot literally everything. That's all I can imagine would go down here. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we can't see exactly what it's going to be until we wind up getting our hands on the game for ourselves. And that goes double for the overall changes to difficulty that was listed here. Now, this we actually do have a little bit of information about. I have a few sources of people I know here and there who have gotten their hands on copies of the game early. There's also been some discussion in forums and the like of other people who've gotten their hands on the game early who are comparing stats for various different boss encounters, regular encounters, things like that, pre- and post-patch. And the number changes aren't huge, but I mean, you can see some of the comparisons here. A couple points knocked off here, a couple points knocked off there, even on expert mode. So, I mean, these fights in the early game weren't particularly hard to begin with. I'm hearing rumblings and hearsay that, well, you know, the fights later on in the game were actually way harder, so this is just a way to balance out the game as a whole, to make it a little bit more of a gentle curve. Maybe. I don't know. Again, we won't really be able to tell until we get our hands on the game ourselves. People are, I think, rightfully a little worried about this, because Expert did feel like it was in a really good spot, but there's really no way that we can know until we play it for ourselves. There have also apparently been some other changes as well, some nerfs to different abilities and items. This is all hearsay. I have not seen any evidence of this myself, so take it very much with a grain of salt, but abilities like the Wild Rush Valor skill have been changed from requiring 2 Valor to 3 to make it harder to chain together and spam, which I think is probably a good thing. Very damaging. Very effective skill, so not an unreasonable change there. And the Kingsblade Cornix, the rare, super powerful sword that you could find through a special side quest in the demo of the game, has been nerfed. This is a weapon that gave you 25 attack plus 5 to every stat as well, meaning it functionally gave you 30 attack and plus 5 to every other stat. This has been apparently changed from 25 attack to 15 attack. Still a massively powerful weapon and a great choice for pretty much any character that just wants a good stat stick item, isn't worried about a weapon that's going to give them some extra fancy ability, and I imagine will be very effective over the long course of the game, or for at least a good long while after you get it. So not too worried about that either. It seems like a reasonable change, especially if the stats of enemies have been made a little bit easier. There's also been a number of changes to various stages, item skills, and other performance improvements and adjustments based on what we can see on Atlus's website here. So, yeah, hard to say. We'll have to see as we go through at least Cornea and feel out what changes have been made to that. And then anything beyond that, I think everyone but a select few who've got some illicit early access will be able to say what really changed or didn't change, but definitely interesting nonetheless. I can only hope that if other balance changes do need to be done, that this is something that Vanillaware and Atlus are willing to do post-release, because like if something's too easy or too hard or something's too busted, I would like to see them kind of iron that out a little bit. In a strategy game like this, balance is king, and the balance of the demo did feel pretty damn good, so if there's anything that needs to be tweaked to maintain that throughout the rest of the game, I welcome it. Absolutely. Actually, one last thing that I just remembered that I want to talk about before we get into that one little bit of leaked information is the fact that I was able to confirm that while you do not have the ability to name your characters in a custom manner, you cannot choose names for your characters even in the full release of the game, apparently every region in the game has its own list of names for you to choose from, which that is still pretty cool. It does give a much wider range of potential names for your generic recruits, and it's going to give a little bit of flair and personality to the world as a whole, because like actually having different characters from different lands with different cultures have different names as a result, that's nice. It's going to throw a wrench into naming Patreon characters a little bit. We'll have to kind of figure that out on the fly, I think, but very nice little touch. Thank you for the information on that. Now finally comes the part where we need to talk about the leaked info. So again, there's a timestamp. This is my verbal warning to you now. This is potentially spoilers if you don't want to know about a mechanical thing that happens in the game, something that we've talked about before on the channel, so it's not completely out of band for us to talk about it. Also something that does potentially have some story implications based on the way it is named. So I said, it's not a direct story spoiler, but it has implications, at least that I picked up on. So if you don't want to hear any of this, bow out now. I totally understand. We're only a couple days away from release. If you don't want to hear about it, be my guest. I would have preferred to have not heard about it, but unfortunately I didn't have a choice because of commenters. So here you go. Giving you your chance. 5, 4, 3. After this, you're done. 2, 1. I'm going to talk about it now. We do actually have supposedly a permadeath mode in Unicorn Overlord. I know we just talked about this. We just talked about the fact that Unicorn Overlord is doing permadeath or no permadeath right, with all the way they've got their systems and their balance and all that type of stuff going on. And yet now we have what is apparently known as true Zenoiran mode. This is a screenshot that I've been seeing shared around quite a bit, and it certainly has some interesting implications. It's notable that it doesn't say anything about permadeath, but if every character in a unit gets defeated, that unit and those characters will not be able to be deployed again. So the obvious read of that is you won't be able to deploy them ever again. I have not actually ever experimented to see if once a unit was defeated, if you could then just redeploy them again from your base. If you can, then this may just mean that you can no longer do that, which seems like a pretty niche case anyway, but maybe later in the game where battles are way larger and you only have 10 units to begin with, that would be more of a useful, viable strategy. If so, it's less exciting. I definitely much more prefer the idea that we actually have this permadeath mode. Now, what's double interesting about this is that you can only unlock it after you've finished the game once, and then it becomes this unlocked difficulty mode that you can choose for a second run, which is cool. I do like that there is an option like that for you to go in and be able to change some things up, do some different stuff. That's nice. I do very much enjoy that. What also is interesting is the name, True Zenoiran. And that's where I have to start wondering if this isn't a bit of a story spoiler. Because if we're choosing a difficulty mode that pegs us as a true Zenoiran, but it is the Zenoiran Empire who we are fighting, does that mean that somewhere along the way it's revealed that we are actually a Zenoiran? Because the whole idea is that the Zenoiran Empire is trying to revive the ancient Zenoiran Empire that left all these ruins all over the world and all this type of stuff. So maybe that's the twist. Maybe Elaine is actually a descendant of the Zenoiran royalty. So that's going to be like some twist that comes along somewhere along the way and something happens with that. Maybe. That's the only explanation I can think of. Why would the difficulty mode be named as if we are living up to our heritage as a true Zenoiran, making it the most difficult mode, right? I don't know. It's weird. Something to think about. But I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm absolutely going to be doing a second run on true Zenoiran mode, and we're going to see if it is actually a proper permadeath mode. And if it is, that'll be very interesting, because, like, being able to lose a couple soldiers out of a unit but not necessarily having them go down permanently unless the whole unit goes down is a cool idea, because it implies, like, well, you know, they might be down, they might be injured, but their squad mates patch them up, keep them alive, keep them off death's door, and then they can get nursed back to health and be ready for the next fight, right? But if everyone goes down, there's no one there to help. There's no one there to patch those people up, and you lose them forever. That is a cool idea, and it still lets all of your revival items and abilities and things like that be useful for picking those units up before the whole unit gets destroyed. It seems very fun. I can only hope that that's the way that it plays, and I also hope that it winds up bumping up the difficulty even more, because again, like, Expert was not easy, but it wasn't hard either, and having something that is even more challenging after we've got our feet wet and we've played through the game once and we've unlocked this new mode would be perfect. Chef's kiss. I would love to see it. Gonna be great. And that, my friends, is the information about the Day Zero patch that is coming to Unicorn Overlord, or really is technically is already here if you happen to have your hands on a copy of the game already. Very interesting stuff, has a lot of interesting implications, and certainly testing is going to have to be done to see what exact changes have been made to the game to balance it out here. Is it good? Is it bad? Only time will tell, but I'm certainly excited to find out. This video being something that I had to do kind of shifted up my schedule a little bit. I'm going to hopefully be getting a few more videos out before the full release of Unicorn Overlord, but then of course after it comes out it's just going to be videos galore, so look forward to that. And with that said, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night, Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.